Welcome everyone, my name's Dom, and this is going to be the start of a new video series I'm bringing to the channel. So it's not going to be quite a complete review, not quite an incomplete review. I mean, you already saw the title and the thumbnail. So this is an Xbox Elite 2 controller. I picked this up with my Xbox Series X, so if you haven't seen my incomplete review or unboxing of that, definitely go check those out. But before you do, this series is going to be focusing on the more maybe subtle things of a product. And while those things may not necessarily be like the reason that we, go out to buy a product, right? Like this controller has a whole bunch of buttons on it and a bunch of other really cool things. But I think that it's going to be these subtler qualities that add so much more to the experience of a product than we may give them credit for. And with this controller, there's a lot going on here. And so I want to talk about, outside of just a few things, I want to talk about how this controller is almost perfect. Let's get into it. So starting things off, the Elite 2 controller. There's a lot going on here. Outside of the kind of obvious, like they added these additional buttons, right? These little paddles, and they allow your middle and ring fingers to, act as extra buttons. And you can program them to do other things, and you have profiles, and you can adjust the throw distance of the triggers individually to 3 different stages. You can adjust the resistance of the joysticks and even change the joysticks themselves, different heights, different shapes, everything, right? Even the D-pad is customizable on this controller. But there is something else that I feel makes this controller incredibly special outside of all that, and that is the build quality. This controller is built so well, so firm, so rigid that I, for whatever reason, feel like between its weight and the metal construction and its rigidness, that there is just something more to the experience of this controller that I'm getting because of how well it's built. Again, there's so many other things that are awesome about it. It has a rechargeable battery that you dock. You don't even have to plug it in. You just drop it onto a magnetic dock. It comes with a carrying case where you can keep all the different tools and pieces, of which you can recharge the controller through the case. It has USB Type-C. It's reversible. And this thing was made for the Xbox One, and while everything works on the Xbox Series X from the Xbox One for the most part, there is just, outside of everything like that, it's this build quality. If you haven't held one yet, if you can find a way to, maybe they have them at Microsoft stores, I'm not entirely sure, but it has these textured grips, and it has this harder, I don't know what you'd call it, it's like a soft yet rough plastic, and everything about it just feels so premium that I don't really know like how to explain it. It feels like the controller is just made to perform, that it's made to last, and it does feel more responsive. I don't know how much of that is like placebo effect or how much of this is like truly elite, but I would say like that is the kind of like nuancy, highlighty attribute, like something that just makes this controller so great. And there are so many other products where I feel like build quality has had a big impact on the way that they are experienced, right? So like, for example, I recently did my incomplete review on the iPhone 12, and one of the most wonderful things was the build quality. And I'm probably going to do a video on that as well for this series. So if you want to see that, definitely throw a like down below, or just in general, if you like the idea of this series, let me know in a comment and all that kind of stuff. And, subscribe so you can see more as I release more, and, we'll kind of see where this goes. So, I mean, give it a little time, and, we'll see how things turn out with this. Everything feels cared for. These little joysticks, they're magnetic. There was no reason for them to be magnetic. These metal paddles here are not only interchangeable, and you can put them on different parts of the controller, but they also are easy to remove, and they're magnetic. All these subtle little details come together, and it adds so much more to an experience than I think people give it credit for. You see it and you think to yourself, oh, it's got all these extra buttons, it's going to make me better at gaming and da-da-da-da. And you know what? Yeah, sure, it can do that. But ask yourself this. This thing's $180, I believe. Now, even if it wasn't $180, but if it was made out of plastic, like the same kind of plastic, if you've held one, if you own one, if you know what I'm talking about, if this thing was made out of the same plastic as the basic Xbox One controller, would it feel as special? Would it feel as good? I don't know. But to me, I don't think it would. I never got that feeling from the original Xbox One controller, I'm sorry. And they basically share the exact same shape. So it's just this little stuff that's kind of, come together and developed and just grown. You just feel like there's like a passion to this. Now, the one thing, actually two things, I'm sorry, there's actually two things that have been off with this, but one of them kind of fixed itself, hence why I said one. The A button, well, the face buttons themselves, they are kind of the basic plastic from the standard Xbox One controller, but I wouldn't say that necessarily kills the experience. I wish they kind of illuminated, add a little more, a little more coolness to it. But the A button had this tendency to stick. However, this has gone away. I don't exactly know. Maybe I like beat it out of it or something, but it no longer sticks. And number two is, well, Microsoft, the name. Like, I don't know who's naming your products, but I get why you'd call it Elite. And there was the Xbox 360 Elite, and you guys did, Elite is kind of your thing, but the industry seems to have this issue with calling products Pro. And I don't know exactly how Pro, what makes something Pro, but if I had to say like versus the standard version of a product to, something like the Pro version, this is a Pro controller. The Nintendo Switch Pro controller is not a Pro controller. It's just a restructured Joy-Con that's in a controller form factor. There's something Pro about it other than, other than its form factor. There's nothing Pro about it. The iPhones, they now have Pro models. There's nothing Pro about them. There's nothing that really puts them into a different tier the way that, Pro used to mean. As we kind of, as the channel develops, as the channel grows, that we can kind of learn to focus on, maybe some more subtle details. Because again, it's like you can get a product and be very excited for it, and it can be, super awesome in so many ways. But when the product is inconvenient or it feels a certain way, like I want to be able to make a series where we can appreciate the details that might not get as appreciated as they need to. So if you know what I'm talking about, then this is going to be the series for you. We're going to have a lot of fun. So again, definitely subscribe, guys. And yeah, I'll probably be uploading like a bunch of these at first and just kind of see how they do. And like I said, if you like it, if you like the idea, you like the concept, throw a like down. If there's anything in particular, you think as far as a product goes, or maybe even this controller that also fits into this criteria, the subtleties and underappreciated things that really should be appreciated, let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, as always, talk to you soon.